Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Welcome to Spectacle program on Television Nigerian. I am your host, Daniel Atai, and this morning we'll be looking at industrialization in Nigeria. And what is industrialization? What impact is industrialization going to offer us? How far have we gone? And what are the proceeds so far from industrialization in Nigeria? And I will be joined in the studio shortly with analysts who do justice to this particular topic, talking about industrialists. With me in the studio is Reginald Nnabwe. Reginald Nnabwe is a chairman and CEO of a Different Approach Development Foundation, and also is the facilitator of African Industrial Revolution. And I also learned that Nnabwe is also the chairman of Sagaso Worldwide Ghana Limited. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. And directly in front of me is Mr. Kenneth Chukwu Ekenyang.
Yes.
Kenneth Chukwu Ekenyang is the CEO of Kingsmith Enterprises Nigeria Limited.
That's true.
And by that qualification, I know you are an industrialist.
That's true.
You're welcome to Television Nigeria.
It's a pleasure.
Now I'll begin with you, Mr. Kenneth. Reginald, sorry. What is industrialization first, within few words before we expatiate?
Industrialization actually means a people's decision to move from manual acts in processing their resources to the use of machineries. And that creates a wealth that cannot be explained, because industrialization is something that when it happens to a people, the people move from poverty to riches, because now they create jobs, and industries create jobs. And the reason why Nigeria has remained poor, the reason why we're poor, is because we lost focus on the program of industrialization.
Are we really poor?
Yes, we are.
We are the oil guru of this world.
Poverty is not a product of resources. Poverty is a product of the mismanagement of resources. And the mismanagement of resources happens when a people do not understand that exportation of resources equals the exportation of the jobs that creates the wealth for the people, because it is the resource, the monies that the individuals earn from the work that is produced, is provided when we pursue an industrial program, is actually what prospers the people. The reason why Nigeria is poor is because we don't have jobs. And the reason why we don't have jobs is because we export all our resources unprocessed. And unprocessed resources actually equals the exportation of jobs. That's why you can imagine that
unprocessed resources equals the exportation of
jobs.
It means we are giving our jobs to the...
We have given our jobs over to the people who process our resources for us. Now, you remember that our fathers were not poor.
So you are talking about we gave this job out because of machineries.
Yes, you see, because you have crude oil, but you don't process crude. But you sell your crude at $100, then you buy petroleum products, which are the products of the crude. But you see, the actual prosperity is the jobs that are lost to the processing. Now imagine...
So why? Why do we sell these jobs to them?
Because we don't understand how prosperity is created, how wealth is generated. Wealth is actually generated when the people are prospering themselves as individuals. And the only way people prosper is when they have jobs, good jobs. You see, now there's consider our refineries, for instance. Our refineries, we have refineries, but we don't refine. Now, we have lost thousands of international standard jobs. And assuming our refineries were functioning, what will happen is that we will have people who are earning very good amount of money. Now, apart from that, we also sell the products of the crude. Now, we are the ones that are processing. We have the oil, we process our oil, then we sell. But you see, the actual prosperity is the jobs that are created when we process. Take, for instance, orange. We have orange in a village, one of the villages in Nigeria, they have lots of oranges.
In Benue State.
Yes, in Benue State, they have lots of oranges. Now, but you see, the demand for orange is not high, but the demand for orange juice is very high. Now, the reason why our oranges waste is because we don't process them. But now, when you start processing, you create jobs.
So you're talking about machines,
yes,
availability of machines.
Machines. They say when they say somebody is industrious, it actually means that the person is now maximizing produce. Is actually maximizing what they call it, profit
via machine.
Via machines. The machines must move to the resources. The resources must not continue to move to the machines.
So now, it means we have been moving to the machines by exporting abroad.
Yes.
And we have not imported the machines to move to us.
Yes, okay, now, but you see, when we export the products abroad, our natural resources abroad, now we now buy the results of...
Because they have the machines.
Yes, they have processed it now. They have the machines and the natural resources have moved to them. Now, but now, when we sell crude, we now buy kerosene. We buy fuel. Are you getting me? Now, but you see, it is the jobs...
diesel.
Yes, we buy diesel. It is the jobs that are created for them by processing that is actually the prosperity of the people. That's why China is rich. The reason why Donald Trump is fighting China today is because they have realized that...
No, forget about their fight.
Yes.
Why is China rich?
China is rich because they have all the jobs. They process everything and sell the finished products to every other country.
And they manufacture the machines themselves.
Technology is available today. If you notice now, we can buy technology. Like now, I can buy any technology I want, because technology is available for sale. Now, if you go to Google and Google how to make anything, it will show you how to make it. Are you getting me? So technology is available for us to buy. But now we do not have the will to realize that it is the jobs that prosper the people. I cannot overemphasize this. If you continue to export your natural resources, your people will continue to be poor, no matter how rich you are as a nation when it comes to resources. So it is important for us to understand that the revolution, there's a revolution that has started in Nigeria. You will notice that the government have started banning the importation of certain produce. Now, for instance, the person who buys a bag of rice, that you see, the other day I was watching a program and I saw people lining up with motorbikes with lots of bags of rice. Some people too. You see, every bag of rice that is imported like that is actually loss of jobs.
For somebody.
Yes, it's loss of jobs for Nigerians. Because now we have rice. It is the processing of the rice that brings about standard. And because now you are processing, you create the jobs that prosper the people. The monies that the people earn from the processing plants is actually what prospers the people directly.
That is job creation.
Yes, job creation. So we need to understand that this revolution that has started, it's a spiritual thing. When a revolution starts, it first of all happens in the hearts of the people.
Okay.
Because now you must realize that as individuals, that the people themselves must begin to see that the processing of their resources is the only way they can prosper themselves.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I'll get back to you. Mr. Kenneth, what would you say this country have done industrially, and what needs to be done industrially in Nigeria now?
Okay. I would say that first and foremost, I did like to appreciate the direct funding of local governments.
Okay.
Because it makes funds available to the grassroots.
Good.
And I'm looking at the local governments.
Be audible so that people
yes,
can
I'm
hear
looking
you.
at local governments, chairmen, to begin to look at what resources do they have within their local governments that are raw.
Okay.
We have 774 local governments.
Yeah.
If every local government chairman decides now to look within his domain, what raw materials or what resources are raw.
We have gold, we have diamond, we have all those things, we have Constantines, we have rubber, we have agri-produces, we have water, we can package water too.
Okay,
So,
what am I saying? Let me give you an instance. I was in Benue State some other time. We went to do traditional wedding.
Okay.
I was actually shocked when I moved around Benue State. Everywhere we are lying oranges littered in the ground, mangoes. I was really amazed. Food. Like he was saying, if you look at the availability of such materials that are lying redundant, wasting, rotting away, what does it take? What does it take to process these things? First level processing. First level processing means that you can assemble them. If you have to juice it, you juice it. If you juice it, you want to can it, you can it. The whole of the coast of West Africa is a market that cannot be satisfied. If you put it into package, what's the requirement? What machineries are required? It gives job. Even the man who gathers it, the way it's scattered all around, the man who gathers it and assembles it and brings it to the factory where it's processed and then canned, he's earning money. If that is the only thing he does, he knows that every time I gather these oranges and mangoes in bags and bring him to the manufacturing sector, they pay him money. That empowers him. His life begins to change. He can affect his family. He can affect the people around him. That's processing. Look at the man who is in Gombe. In Gombe, you have beans. If you do first level processing for beans, what is there? You just take it stone free, make it stone free. Beans normally comes with a lot of stone. If you take beans alone and make it stone free, by making beans stone free,
manually or machinery?
They are machines.
They are machines.
Yes.
Even if they are machines that make them stone free. Yes. When you do that, you understand, you not only empower the people who gather these stoned beans before it's processed to stone free, you give them direct access to funds, and you increase the market of beans to the point where if it is packaged, you can export it.
And you know something.
So something is wrong with us industrially.
It's mindset.
And what do we do now?
Yes, we need to change our mindset. We need to recognize the fact that the things that God has placed around us are things that we can use and harness and better ourselves, create wealth.
You know, sorry, allow me to interject. You know, let me just remind you of something. One, processing eliminates waste. Like the oranges we are talking about. Now, the reason why the oranges waste is because we do not process. Now, if you process, you can actually produce juice. And like you said, there is a market. Nigeria has the largest market. Actually, Nigeria is responsible. I believe very strongly that Nigeria is responsible for the prosperity of China. If we had pursued our industrial program from the 80s with the Ajakuta steel mill, if you knew the power of what Ajakuta steel mill could have done to Nigeria, we would have gone back to look at ensuring that that does not happen again.
Yeah, in terms of manufacturing all the...
By now, we would have been manufacturing all the machineries. We would have been supplying the entire Africa with iron rods, with car parts. Are you getting me?
Everything is just lying.
It's just lying there, waste. But you see, somebody told me, I was talking to somebody, he said it's obsolete. It's not obsolete. You can't have such facility and say it's obsolete. Till tomorrow, the number of iron rods we import in the country, we should be taking care of taking the resources from that. We should be exporting. But you see, like I keep saying, it is the jobs that are created by the industries that is actually the prosperity of the people. It's international standard jobs.
So why are we not doing it? Do you see international factor fighting against industrialization?
Industrialization is...
Or we deliberately
don't want to? We as a people, we have lost focus. Okay, you have to understand this, that there is no reason why we should export orange. We should export orange juice. There is no reason why we should export cashew. We should export first level, minimum first level. I keep saying, there is no reason why we should be buying complete cars to Nigeria. I believe very strongly that if you want to create jobs, you first of all have to ensure that instead of the cars coming complete, they should come without tires. They should come without trafficators. They should come in parts or semi-complete. Then now, the assembling plants, what it does is that it creates international standard jobs. And these international standard jobs pays international standard funds. And when a man's resources changes, even his environment changes. Development is actually the increase of a person's income. Yeah. When your income increases, what happens? Your environment changes. So we need to link the prosperity of the people to industrialization, to processing of our resources. We shouldn't export coal. Why are we having coal coming out on the streets of Enugu and our people are lacking jobs? Are you getting me? Now, the world still today...
We could, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We could look at the Nigerian enterprises,
yes, sir,
sectorally.
Yes.
Like, for instance, the power sector. We could create job in the power sector. We have the hydro, which is generating electricity via the water. Yeah. We could also generate electricity via the wind and the solar power. So what is wrong with us and what should we do now? We have abundant sun, isn't it? Yes. And I think we have abundant. Okay, look at the transport sector. I'm talking about industrializing the country now. In the transport sector, you have the rail, you have the aviation, you have the roads. So what should be the agenda of the government and Mr. Kenneth?
First and foremost, let me say something to you. I believe that if your mind is made up about a thing like production, industrialization, you can begin from the scratch wherever it takes. I listened to Dangote speak to some group of graduates recently. You know what he said to them? He said to them, whatever it takes you to drive the vision you have, follow it up. We look at it as though there is no light. Everybody says there is no light, and because of that, a lot of persons have lain on that fact and they are not productive.
Okay, so it means we will not leave it in the hands of the government alone?
No. We have passed the point where we leave it in the hands of the government. If I want to, like I'm thinking about, if I decide that, okay, if I want to say I want to go into production, I want to do first level production. Most times first level production, how much power do you need? When you power the process of first level production, what happens? You begin to access unlimited funds from the services that you render, and that gives you the capacity to put in place what is required to keep production going. If I decide I want to produce toothpick with bamboo, I've seen bamboo toothpicks from China. What does it take? Let them begin to assemble the bamboo. You get the first machinery that is required to make it into toothpicks. The first level production of that, how much electricity does it require? And the overhead cost, let me say something, the overhead cost that is in running generator can be absorbed from the range you can go with your product. At the end of the day, what it makes it as, it becomes as nothing. So what we are saying is that, and everywhere there's industrialization, do you know what happens? At the end of the day, electricity follows it.
Yes, of course.
Electricity follows it.
Once industrialization has to begin with power generation. And I'm talking about how we can, harness these various sources of electricity.
Can I tell you something? Yes, sir.
I'll come to you. I want you to hit in the implementation aspect of our government and our individuals and the bureaucracy that probably hinders private sector driving economy, because we have to get it right industrially.
Thank you.
You know, like you said about power, industrialization does not come after power.
Okay.
Industrialization is the choice of the people against all odds.
Okay, demand.
Yes, it's against all odds to process their resources. That is what creates industries. Okay. Now, if you give, like you said, power is not an excuse. Dangote has proven that we can actually build industries in Nigeria without power. Okay. Innocent is there. And we have lots of defenders of Nigeria. I call them defenders of Nigeria. They are the ones that have sustained Nigeria's existence, because they are the ones that has kept us even at the level, to at least to a measure, we are still producing certain things. Yeah. Are you getting me? Yeah. Now,
can we be said to be a productive nation yet?
We are actually a commodity consuming nation. Nigeria imports 90% commodity, and we actually do 10% local production. But let me tell you this: 90% commodity purchase is actually 90% jobs exported. Now we must remember that it is the factories that we use, that we build to process our resources, that prospers the people. We
have sold our prosperity to China.
Yes, we have sold our prosperity to China. And like you said, we keep giving the excuse of power. Now, there's gas flare. You don't even keep it. You see, the gas we flare has enough capacity to generate electricity. Once I was involved in a project with some people from Norway, Hamworthy Gas, and the project was gas from the source of the gas. It's not purified natural gas now. Mm-hmm. This one is from the gas flare itself. You can turn to to power generation and water. So you can supply water to the communities where they are flaring the gas. But you see, each time good projects arise, what happens is that because we don't understand the ideology of wealth creation, which is job creation, we prefer to buy power or buy some other from other places. I keep saying Nigeria has power problem, but if we want to solve our power problem, see, my president should add the importation of generators as one of the banned products.
Okay.
Now, you know why I say so?
He should ban
the
generator.
importation of generators. Okay. If we must use generators, we should use made in Nigerian generators. What that does is that Nigeria, the amount of money Nigeria consumes in generating electricity every day, you have not equated it. Every Nigeria has generator. We buy fuel for it, we maintain it. Now, every day.
Personally, I spend more than 80,000 per month just to get diesel.
Times it by, let's say, 50 million Nigerians. Now, calculate how much we spend on power generation. Now, if we must use generators, let's use made in Nigerian generators. If you implement that, you will force all the Chinese companies, because the market is here, you will force the Chinese companies to move in the factory.
They will move in the factory.
The factories will begin to manufacture. And now, when that starts happening, the jobs that are created prospers the people.
What about if the Chinese people refuse to? Okay, I'll come back to you.
Yes, sir.
What about if they refuse to move in the factory here, and then we have to be forced to create? We have
technology is available. That's why I told you. Say we can buy the technology. Okay. We actually, we are already making generators in Navy and Onitsha. Okay. I get me. So now the technology is already there. What the government needs to do is, if you ban the same way you are implementing about rice, ban the importation of rice. But the demand of rice is so high. That is the reason why, because we are not yet servicing. We are not yet servicing.
And that one is just
the
agro-produce. Okay,
yes.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Reginald.
Yes,
Mr.
Sir.
Kenneth.
Yes.
You heard what Reginald said. Like we should ban certain things, and which should come first? The production first before banning, or the banning of those things first before production?
Most great nations that went industrialized, they first of all did the banning.
Okay.
And when they banned it, what happened? It gave room for local industries to begin to think about how to manufacture these things.
And that has a factor of putting the people in suffering for a certain period of time. I know Nigerians don't like suffering.
No, see, there's no other way to it. Let me say something to you.
Okay.
Wherever there is a market, like you're saying, Nigeria has the highest market for generators. When you ban generator production or foreign importation of generation, you force that companies that manufacture generator, because the market is already here, to come into this place. You ban importation of rice.
That targets creating of jobs.
Yes. Once it comes in, because when they move in the factory, they cannot move in all their people to come here and do the work.
Okay, is industrialization only about job creation?
Beyond job creation, it is much more about impartation of life and causing human beings to grow, to prosper, and giving them the ability to get educated in the form of knowledge acquisition. Okay. It's not every time. If you send some factories, if there are factories that will come into this place, trainings begin to go. And as people are trained, what happens? They get better. As they get better, their welfare, their financial status, everything increases. So it goes beyond just that. And apart from that, let me say something to you. No real industry that does not create facility that makes for excellence in production. You cite, okay, look, we came over here right now. When we came over here, we had to drive through the road. Whenever you cite a particular industry, you have to create facilities that makes for smooth running. Yes, as a smooth running of that place.
Access roads.
Yes, access roads. You do all the things that are required. And apart from that, you know what it does? It also gives them room to do what? To impact the society where they are located.
What about bureaucracy of taxation? Because some people say they don't want to do like China, like industries in China don't have to be very large the way people imagine it. It has to be very big frame. It has to be this long before you call it an industry. Industry can actually be even
inside your house,
inside the room.
Yes, let me say.
As long as they are effective, as long as whatever they deliver impacts the people, as long as what they do has the ability to call funds, it is job creation. It is wealth creation.
All right, you want to add something?
Now, let me say this to you. You see that where the problem lies is the will of the people. You see,
the people or the will of the government.
The government is the people.
The government is the people.
The people is the government.
But there is a spearhead in every government. In the local government, you have councillors, you have chairmen.
I agree with you.
And you have essays at the state level.
I agree with you.
At the federal level, you have president, you have ministers. So, what can the people do?
The people
have to demand.
Let me tell you something.
Okay,
let me tell you something. The government is a product of the people. The psychology of the people is the psychology of the government.
Okay.
Now, Nigerians need to understand that the sale of any resource means the exportation of the jobs that prospered the people.
Okay.
Do you see where the point is? Yeah. Now, the people ruling us, the people that are in Senate, the people that are in the House of Assemblies, State House of Assembly, councillors, the local government chairmen, are thinking like the average Nigerian, which is trade. Trade is not a good thing. Trade is only good when you are the one that is selling the finished product. If you are the one that is exporting the natural resources, then you have missed the mark. Like Nigeria. Nigeria is an export-based country when it comes to resources, and import-based country when it comes to finished products. That is the reason why we are poor. If today the government see what I'm talking about, the leaders, because it took me 25 years to understand what I'm talking to you. I have for the past 25 years have been studying the industrialization of Africa. The reason why I'm in Ghana is because I found out that Nkrumah a long time ago began to pursue an industrial program. Now, if you go to
Kwame.
Yes, Kwame Nkrumah. If you go to Ghana and go to Tema and see what Nkrumah left alone, then you will realize that he knew what he was doing, which was the reason why they overthrew him. But let me tell you something.
So why is it that each time any government wants to industrialize African countries, that government seems to be overthrown or pushed out of
because
power?
that's what I'm telling you, that
is
the
it
people,
international bureaucracy?
No, it's not international. It's the attitude of the people. Now, if you realize, I keep saying it like maybe I'm from Benue State and the Orange. What I want to do is I would like to bring in the machine. The technology is available. You can buy the technology.
Good. So why do they stop the implementation of industrialization?
Because we don't understand it. We think trade is what prospers the people. Trade does not prosper a people.
You are from the eastern part.
Yes, I'm from the eastern part.
I agree with you, Mr. Kenneth. Do you agree with you?
You see, what I said, I was postulating recently. I said to them that every man who is in the east,
because the eastern people like trading and they don't believe in manufacturing.
Let me explain to you something.
Yes.
First and foremost, from all the knowledge I know from industrialization, you need to have a market. If I produce something and fuel this house and I don't have a market, I'm as good as somebody that has not done anything. Okay. So in trading, a lot more of these Eastern people have created a market. The time has come for us to begin to think about manufacturing the product. I've studied everything about Dangote. Anything I see about him, I read. Before he begins anything, he first of all goes into branding. You know what we call branding? You buy the product, you create a brand on your name, and after some time, when the market has become substantial enough, what do?
You go local.
You go local. And when you go local, what do? You begin to harness the raw materials that are available within your locality and your people.
So what do you advise the graduate on the street? Though the government is giving them what we call empower, but it has not encapsulated all of them. What do you advise them to do to start thinking, can an individual graduate who have no money begin to industrialize himself or what?
Yes, he has to start with the thought that he is not going to allow his natural resources from his community to move out without unprocessed. First of all, it is in the mind. Now we are doing what we are living is actually what we believe and what we think. I want us to understand this, that our mindset is why we export our resources. And the export of our resources is the poverty of Nigeria. So the average graduate has to begin to think like an industrialist. You see I've seen some people in Nigeria who use rubber tire, you see, what do you call it? Tires. They've converted it to tables and designed chairs. That is industrialization. That is, and you know what? When the demand increases, the number of people that are employed increases. And it is the resources that accrues by wages directly to the people that changes the people's lives. And when the incomes increase by virtue of see China, before it was cheap labor. Now it's China cheap labor anymore. No. Now Africa is the cheapest labor.
A container in China can actually be an industry.
Yes.
Just a container.
Yes.
As long as what he's
by
doing.
the seaport. And oftentimes when we travel to China, we don't even go into those main cities. We stay by the seaside, and our goods are taken from there. And this program is interesting, and I think I will have cause to bring both of you again to look at other areas and what the government and the people will do. First of all, we have learned that the people also have to demand. We have a lot of enterprises in this country that we need to
re-engineer, reactivate.
Yes, reactivate, revamp, and make sure that those moribund industries, we have a lot of them already from the colonial days and even the First Republic, the Second Republic, the Third, and so on. So we have put them in order. I'll bring you back to this spectacle program, and we'll have to look into the economy very well, Mr. Anakwe. But for now, because of time factor, we'll call it a quit. at this juncture, and then when next I call on you, I believe you both of you will give me the privilege.
To be a pleasure. To be a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Most
sir.
welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for having us.
Well, that was Mr. Nnakwe and Reginald, of course, discussing political economy as it affects Nigeria industrialization. And of course, without industrialization, the people cannot prosper. And industrialization does not mean you have to have a very big warehouse and all those things. You can start even from a room. It's all about the ideas and the ideas that you put in practice. And then don't allow your resources to be wasted, to be exported. You have to do everything manufacturing here. Packaging has to begin from here. Yeah. And I think this is 21st century. Nigeria must think that in the 21st century, you don't try to export job. You understand? You bring the job in. And that is where we'll stop on Spectacle today. I am still your host, Daniel Atai. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai.